Beijing Winter Olympics see lowest ever ratings. We talked about this in the past, how the ratings were down. But what we hadn't talked about, now that it's over, is where did it line up in relationship to previous Olympics? They knew that there was reduced interest, but now the numbers are official as far as the completion of the 2022 Winter Olympics. And turns out a lot fewer people watched it, including the opening ceremony and just a typical night, any of the events. Did either of you guys watch any Olympics?
No.
Only snowboarding. That's pretty much it.
Is that like one night or is that multiple nights that you watched?
It's multiple.
You watched multiple nights?
Yeah.
Look at you. You're part of these numbers. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Beijing Games ratings were the worst U.S. ratings in the history of NBC's coverage of the Winter Olympics. NBC averaged just 11.4 million viewers per night, down 42% from the last Winter Olympics. 42%. That's a chop right there.
Ooh.
Those ones saw an average of 19.8 million viewers per night. This was probably the most difficult Olympics of all time, NBC Sports chairman Pete Bavacqua said. The lead up to the Olympics showed a major lack of interest in the games, as much of the focus was on the location itself. People were talking about China. People were talking about COVID. Some of the high-profile athletes, like the hockey teams, didn't go. I would have, or hockey players, I should say. I mean, it would have been hard for me not to throw it on if all the NHL players were there, which obviously they weren't open to that risk factor with the idea of potentially being locked down, quarantined, things like this. I would say to our athletes, you are there to compete. This was Nancy Pelosi. They were warning of speaking out while you were there in China and that mind your own business type of thing. I guess there was a couple situations where journalists, was it from the Netherlands? Did we cover that? There was a journalist who was just kind of doing a report, and then some people just came and grabbed him. Like, hey, you shut up.
Really?
You shut up over there. You didn't see that clip?
Whoa.
No.
So anyway, yeah, the opening ceremonies also had a record low. It was 16 million viewers. And that includes everything, by the way. It includes streaming services. It includes, I guess they stream on Peacock, 16 million total viewers. That was down 43% as well. Previously, that was viewed 23.8 million times, the last Winter Games. So, I don't know. There's obviously a combination of things. And by the way, the next one's going to be in Italy. What do you think? Is it just a sign of the times? I mean, is there too much stuff to, is it actually about China, or do people have too much stuff to watch? I don't think that had anything to do with you not watching. Or have you ever watched the Olympics?
I have. Usually my dad actually has it on, and I'll just walk by and end up just sitting there for a few hours.
So why did your dad not have it on?
I don't know. Maybe it's like...
Well, we got to talk to your dad.
Yeah. Let's get him on the phone.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because not a lot of people can go.
Can go
to the Olympics because travel was difficult during...
Really? You think that would be it?
I'm not saying that would be it, but maybe that impacted it a little bit.
That didn't impact your dad not having it on.
No. But I'm just saying the hype of it is kind of gone. The stadiums are kind of empty.
You just feel like COVID was such a downer that it just feels weird to celebrate this big sporting event type of thing. Maybe.
I think so.
I don't know, because I don't even think I watched the last one. So I think it's been a trend. I know this is the lowest ever and it was a huge dip, but it does beg the question, if this trend continues, what happens to this? This has been a thing that's been around, obviously, longer than our whole lives.
Right.
But the whole ceremony of the whole thing is dependent upon eyeballs being on it, because the scale of it is, to a certain extent, connected to the amount of interest in advertising and everything else. But we got to talk to your dad. I mean, that's how, if we want to get to the bottom of it, we got to talk to your dad.
All right.